Hello and welcome to Good Morning Vibrations, a format of the new digital TV channel of the German-speaking issue of Forbes. My name is Andrea Gläsermann, I'm senior editor, and I'm happy to start the day with you. Under the theme, The Morning Makes the Day, Diversity Makes the Difference, in this format I meet a lot of different personalities, talk with them about their career, what makes them successful, and what can we learn from them. So today it's absolutely a pleasure to welcome my next guest, Amy Wilkinson. And Amy is the CEO of Ingenuity, a company which provides entrepreneurs, executives, and investors the tools to drive innovation. And she's also a lecturer at Stanford teaching hacking, entrepreneurship, and beyond disruption. And she also interviewed 200 entrepreneurs, such as the founders of Airbnb, Dropbox, and Tesla. And after that, she wrote the best-selling book, The Creator's Code, the 6 essential skills of extraordinary entrepreneurs. So, Amy, it's such a pleasure having you here today.
It's wonderful to be with you. It's such a delight.
So let's start this session with an easy question, because I ask all my guests this question. Do you have a certain morning habit? Because there's the common opinion that successful people have one.
Well, I get up and go running. So that is definitely my morning habits. I walk a little bit, then I run, then I walk a little bit, but it's good to be outside and it kind of gets me awake and gets me going. I'll tell you, this morning, I also had morning pie. And what that means is we had a big family gathering last night and there was leftover apple pie. My dad and I think there's nothing better than eating pie for breakfast. So that is not a normal thing that we do, but I definitely did that this morning. Otherwise, I normally get up and run.
Apple pie in the morning sounds great.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about the current situation. How's life in Silicon Valley regarding COVID-19?
Businesses are certainly working. I would almost say we're working harder than ever because a lot of Silicon Valley is in the technology industry, as is well known, and the tech infrastructure is keeping us all communicating. So, work from home is definitely happening. We're still sheltered in place completely. It's the law, if you go out, that you must wear a face mask. People in Silicon Valley, San Francisco are taking it very seriously. But the companies, whether you're Google or Facebook or Twitter or Salesforce or all of the very large tech companies and the small startups, people are working, I would say, harder than ever to keep the backbone of the internet going and have it happen without any glitches, which worldwide we've pretty much seen. It's pretty amazing, I think.
So right now, a lot of people say that this crisis has driven the digitalization. But you told me when we met in Zurich at the beginning of this year that in Silicon Valley, it's not a big deal because it's everywhere and you can almost feel it in the air. So what does this crisis drive, if not digitalization in Silicon Valley?
What does the virus drive? What does the pandemic drive? Was that the question?
No, I mean, in the rest of the world, a lot of the people say now the digitalization is really like boosting.
Oh, it's really happening. Yeah. I mean, so when we met, which I'm so pleased to have met you at the beginning of the year, Silicon Valley has kind of technology just in the air you breathe. It's everywhere around you. Digital transformation is something that we're not necessarily talking about because we're all in that space and in that era. I would say now there's a lot of talk about helping other companies, helping large companies. That's what Ingenuity, my company, does. But the tech companies are all helping large companies, whether you're in manufacturing, industrial, retail is really hurting, travel is really hurting. All these other industries, there's a lot of technology people actually wanting to be helpful. And so if there's any conversation around that digital transformation, it's accelerating the tech companies in Silicon Valley, and it's putting a big sort of social cause, social mission, social help in order to try to move these skills so that the rest of the world can be online and be online faster.
So now a more general question. Would you say that crises drive innovation and that now in this pandemic, it would be a really great opportunity to be an entrepreneur and to maybe disrupt an industry?
Yes. So, I mean, there's the age-old saying that necessity is the mother of invention. I think that's true. I think we're going to see people who have lost their jobs create companies. We're going to see, students that can't find summer internships. I teach at Stanford, as you mentioned, and it's a really hard time if you're in the business school or you're in the undergraduate program, because a lot of summer opportunities have disappeared. If they're not remote work, there's kind of no job opportunities. And so I think the necessity is going to drive a lot of people to create their own ideas, to build and scale new concepts. And if you look at recessions in the past, in 2008, for example, LinkedIn came out of that. That was a huge thing. In 2002, when the tech bubble burst, you see a lot of companies coming out of that. PayPal, YouTube, Yelp, Google, in fact. I mean, so I'm sure this is a moment where we're going to see lots of innovation, and a number of entrepreneurs will look back at 2020 and think, oh, that was the birth of a whole new set of companies and industries. It's tough times right now, but people are going to find their way. I think they're going to figure it out.
So when talking about entrepreneurship, you told me that the most impressive interview partner was Elon Musk, and I would like to know why.
So Elon is unbelievably brilliant. I mean, I sometimes describe him as Albert Einstein meets Steve Jobs. I mean, he's trained as a physicist. He loves beautiful design. And so, when you talk to him, when you ask questions, the sheer brain power that comes at you is amazing. And what he talks about is solving problems of humanity. And, a lot of us are solving our own problems. A lot of entrepreneurs, that's how they start. What irritates me? What's the friction point? Let me go build a company. That's the example of Under Armour as a sports brand, Spanx as a women's brand. I mean, so many of those things. But Elon is talking about, let's make life multiplanetary. Like, that's the genesis of SpaceX. Let's make sure that and he literally said to me 6 years ago, if a global pandemic strikes, if we have a water shortage, if we have a nuclear war, if something happens, but he mentioned global pandemic,
wow.
And humanity needs to leave Earth, we need somewhere to go. And so this is the solve problems of humanity with SpaceX. Tesla is the idea that we need sustainable transport. And so not only is he building that, he's spurring traditional auto companies, a lot of companies in Germany, for example, to try to make electric vehicles. So he thinks on a whole nother plane, and I think that makes him fascinating to try to interview.
So yeah, as you said, he's a really extraordinary entrepreneur. I would like to know, is everyone able to be an entrepreneur, and what is needed to be an entrepreneur?
So I believe that everyone can. So I did this 5 years of research at Harvard University and interviewed 200 of the top worldwide entrepreneurs, and then distilled 6 skills they have in common. And the whole point of trying to do that research is that all of us can learn these skills. So, they're about finding gaps or finding opportunities that people miss, or failing wisely. A lot of people want to have a perfect record, but entrepreneurs don't. They want to actually be imperfect and test and try and place small bets and experiment, and then learn very quickly and fail very wisely. So I believe that this is learnable, teachable, coachable kind of skill set, and that's why I'm teaching it at a university. It's also, I'd love to say, we're super excited. I've just picked up my hacking entrepreneurship class out of Stanford and put it all virtual for high schoolers. And so we're launching that just in June because I think there's more teenagers worldwide that have been stuck at home because of COVID-19, and they need opportunities. Their parents need to have good things for them to do. So we're doing an all virtual high school class. And, I think it's really good to start early. And I think, we can all do it. That's the exciting part about it.
This is really a great opportunity. And I would like to know, of the 6 skills you mentioned in your book, are there skills more important than others, especially when it comes to crisis?
So all of them are important. I would say they're kind of equally important. And the idea is that we'll be naturally good at maybe 1 or 2 of them, but we can learn all of them. And especially when you're in a crisis, I think you need to be more entrepreneurial. And the skills are about an entrepreneurial mindset as well as a skill set. So, a lot of it is how you think about things. And entrepreneurs, find a way. I think that's an important thing. They believe their work matters. They have purpose-driven work. It matters more than making money. They really think they're going to build something, invent something. In a crisis, I think that's really important, to think you're solving a problem not only for yourself, but for other people, that gives you the drive to keep going. So the 6 skills are really about, in combination, when you use all those skills, you can take ideas and they get a lot of momentum and they take off. So I think, obviously finding a gap, the number one skill, you got to find something, you got to see an opportunity. And so if you are saying, hey, which is most important, I'd say that's the starting place. But a lot of us see opportunities and then we can't execute through. So, you got to spot that opportunity, and then you have to manage speed and harness, other people to help you solve problems and all these things to really make it work.
So now, having a look at the time, I would like to ask you 2 more questions. The first one, what should we learn from this crisis? And the second is, how will the world look like after the pandemic?
So what should we learn? I think that we should learn that we can stand up. And together we can find solutions. And this is hard. There is no doubt that beating a virus is, that's like a big challenge. But I think we're seeing people all over the world stand up, scientists, researchers, business people. I think business people are sort of forgotten in this dynamic right now because it's such a medical crisis. But there are business people that are really standing up supply chains in the United States and, worldwide, but in the US, Amazon, for example, people describe as the Red Cross. Amazon has stopped delivery to the vast majority of their outlets and continue to deliver to household and to medical. So household and medical, hospitals, those supplies went through without any kind of delay. Walmart, for example, has stayed open all across the country so that people have basic things. So I think what we'll learn is that under pressure, people respond well. And the heroes are kind of everyday people. And I think that's important to realize too. There's so much celebrity worship. There's so much sports worship. But right now what you see is people who keep your grocery stores open, truckers who keep supply lines open, nurses who help you when you're sick, doctors that are, in hospitals despite the risk. So I think that's what we learn. And what was your second question? I'm sorry. I think that's the big takeaway.
How will the world look like after the pandemic?
What will it look like? I think that we'll see less travel. I think we'll see less business travel for everyone who has thought they had to be in person. I think we're obviously seeing that online, virtual conversations, deal making, education, telemedicine. I think you'll see a lot more of that, and that will stick. My brother's a doctor. He didn't think that he could be seeing patients. And for the last 2 months, because of the medical system being closed, basically, for non-COVID-19, all of his patients he's seen online. So I think telemedicine, for example, is sticking around. Education, K through 12, primary education worldwide has basically been online. And universities are potentially not reopening for the fall. We're in that debate right now at Stanford. But I think those kinds of things, the virtual digital interactions, I think they will stay. It's obviously better to see people in person. All of us are kind of missing human beings. But I think, the post-COVID world will look like one in which we are more digital than we have been, and hopefully more grateful. For all the stuff that we maybe have taken for granted, the ability to be out on the beach, the ability to have dinner parties. That's my hope. I think at some point we will get on the other side of this, and the new reality or the new normal, I hope we don't go back really to the way it was. I hope we kind of come out better, we'll certainly come out different, but I think it may accommodate more lifestyle and work from home and accommodating people's real lives. And I'll say one more thing. I think seeing everybody on video from their home, it's pretty funny. It's pretty entertaining. And, there's been some funny moments I've had with my team and other teams, and you see people walking around in the background, you see kids popping up and dogs and all this different stuff. And I think you see people as they are, it's like, it's real. People are no longer dressed up in suits and looking fancy. It's kind of real life and real problem solving. And I think there's something really beautiful about that.
That's true. So thank you, Amy, for taking the time today. It was absolutely a pleasure having you here for 50 minutes.
Good. Thank you. I'm glad to see you again. I'm glad to see you digitally, if not in person.
Thank you. On the other side of the world. You have no dog in the background.
No, you have a great background. Your background's awesome.
Thank you. So I hope you guys out there enjoy the session as much as I did, and I hope you will join again next week, Wednesday, 9:30. And for now, I would like to recommend our other formats. For example, Greatest Business Minds at 5:30. Our editor-in-chief, Klaus Fiala, will meet Ben Rushin. He's the co-founder and CEO of We Are Developers, a platform which connects developers with the job market. And Ben Rushin had to cancel his event, We Are Developers World Congress, with 10,000 visitors. So they will talk about how to digitalize such a big event. And for now, yeah, thanks again, Amy. It was such a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
And I wish you all a nice day. See you soon. Stay healthy, stay in business. Bye.